All right, we are officially live. Hey Logan, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing,
Good.
Paul?
We're super good. Greg, how are you, man?
Hey, I'm doing wonderful. Well, I should say it's a little chilly, but I don't want to complain because I know that we've got a lot of northerners here, and they're talking like they won't even hit 10 degrees over the next few
No,
days.
we had a little bit of a heat wave coming in today. We're up to around 13 degrees, I
Ah,
think, right now. But
It's cold
Logan's even
here.
further north than you, Greg.
yeah,
Yeah,
we are currently, let's see here in Fort Myers, it is 51,
that's warm.
and it's going to be a high
Uh,
of 58.
yeah, it's cold
Yeah.
today. It was
Yeah.
freezing. I had a hat on walking this morning.
Yeah, I see you got a sleeveless on, and here I am. I got three
Yeah.
layers.
Yeah. So Logan, we're super excited to talk to you today because of the market that you're in, where you're at, the supply you have, your inventory numbers. You are in a market in the St. Pete, Tampa area where, things are clearly not a seller's market necessarily. Like they're
Mhm.
not like full on seller's market where you have 2 month supply, where you're getting multiple offers on everything, flying off the shelves. But
Yeah.
before we jump in, Logan, can you tell us a little bit, like just where, kind of detail where you're at, how long you've been in the business, that kind of stuff?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit about me. So we were just chatting before we went live, and I've actually never experienced a seller's market. So I've
Okay.
never actually, so I'm only 2.5 years in the
Okay.
business, which is crazy. This year will mark my 3 years when we hit summer.
Congrats.
But yeah, I love it. So I've never experienced a seller's market. So I've always dealt with like a lot of negotiation from the start.
Okay.
So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
So
What
when you first got in 2.5 years ago, I'm gonna kind of pull this up too, just so I can have it
Hmm.
in front of me. What was I can actually look it up. But what do you feel like the supply was? Were you paying attention to supply when you first got in the marketplace back then?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit more fast paced for sure. Like
Yep.
homes were definitely moving a lot more quickly than they are now.
Okay. And you focused mostly on St. Petersburg.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe it was around like 20, probably like 20 to 30 days on market,
Okay.
just about.
So here's the numbers that I have right now. So in the St. Pete market today, or this in the month of December and January, single condos are around a 5 month supply with an average of
Hmm.
105 days on market.
Hmm.
Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's where it's at today. So yeah, and I can see over the past few years that it's kind of bounced around like that. It's kind of been in this 3 to 5 month supply. And if people were paying attention, as we talk about like buyers markets, sellers markets, neutral markets, you guys are smack dab like straight in a neutral market where you have sellers who are
Hmm.
probably unrealistic. You've got
Hmm.
buyers who are like, hey, we've got some opportunity here. So there's this massive tug of war
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah. 100%.
So
Yeah, I think right
Logan,
now, yeah, sorry.
question. So when you go out today to sit with a seller,
Yeah.
give us the kind of like the opening of your conversation with a seller today.
So when I sit down with them, I always like to talk about the wider picture of what we're looking at right now. And a lot of them already know. They already kind of are like, we know it's not as good as it was when we bought. Because a lot of the sellers I'm talking to bought at the peak time,
Hmm.
like 2020 to 2022. And so we're having a lot of conversations up front about negative equity,
Hmm.
not listing necessarily or listing just above even what they bought it for.
Yep.
So even before I go into a listing appointment, I already send them comps. So they have a chance to already see what I'm seeing. So there's not that like, hey guys, I have bad news. Like, we're not going to be able to list, like, up here. They already kind of have the gist of what I'm going to talk about.
Hmm.
So we're already kind of coming in as like, hey, if you want to sell, we need to be strategic about aligning with the current market. Um,
So the fact that they're meeting with you after they've seen this and they know this,
mhm.
does that mean they really plan on selling, or so they're going to sell regardless then?
Yeah,
Like they're
yeah,
going to,
and a lot of the times why I do that is because I like to set the tone before I meet with them. So before I meet with them, I'm like, hey, I send them like a little just before we meet later today or just before we meet tomorrow, here's the comps that we're going to go over together. And also here's some estimated net sheets based on like where a range of what I would
Hmm.
list at. So we're already having that kind of conversation. Sometimes it leads to, hey, we got your email. We actually don't think we're going to be ready to list based on this, but we completely agree with you and appreciate like the research you
Hmm.
gave us. But a lot of times when I'm talking with them, like they know the situation they're going to be in and they have to move. Like
Right.
they are moving back up north or they're changing jobs. Like a family I'm working with right now, we listed, I think they bought the house for 430, we listed for 439. They're going back home because they're having a baby and they
Hmm.
don't want to be here anymore. So
Yep.
they know, that they can't list super high.
So what sounds crazy right now, right, is that what you just said is they bought for 430, listed for 439. That was pretty normal, Greg, for most of your career, Greg, where people were getting modest gains. Sometimes it was flat. We got so used to people buying for
Mm,
300 and selling for 600.
right.
I think we might have lost Greg. Do we lose you there, Greg? Is he frozen for you?
No.
Oh,
Uh,
he's
yeah,
got kind
he's
of a little
gone.
frown. Yeah.
He's
All
gone.
right. So, anyways, so it's so I think what's interesting about it is like, and this is where you get when you're in this kind of neutral market is like, you know, the real issue is that maybe they had some modest gains, maybe a couple percent, maybe a percent or two, but they have closing costs and they have commissions to pay and they have state transfer taxes and they have things like that. So there's
Hmm.
expenses to sell. So even though it looks like their home might have gone up a little bit, they're
Hmm.
now going, but wait a second, who covers this chunk?
Hmm.
And so how can you tell us about like some of those conversations where like someone has to move but they're having a hard time? Like has anyone you've worked with like they have to move, they're having a hard time accepting the truth? Or they're having a
Mm.
hard time kind of like agreeing on this number or like have you had
Yeah.
unrealistic sellers who have said, Logan, I hear what you're saying. Let's go for the moon and ask for 500 even though it's worth 410. Like what do you do in that situation? How do you
Um,
handle
I,
it?
I remember I was on Lindsay's call last week, so about pricing and like
Yep.
unrealistic sellers. And although I'm earlier in my career, I've really taken in and soaked in other agents saying, don't list high. Like they were just
Hmm.
like, it's going to be a waste of your time and your money. And at first, when you're super new, you're like, but I have all the time in the world.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
don't care. I have a
Hmm.
listing, I have my name on
Yeah,
something.
you just want to get it out there.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and I think I did make that mistake my first listing. I did sell it, but it took a while to sell. And right away I was like, wow, I was spending every weekend open houses, like spending a lot of marketing dollars. So now when I go in, I won't list a home if they're not realistic on
Okay.
price because I do put so much time and effort, one, prepping for the listing and also spending a lot of money getting the listing ready to market. So if I did meet with someone, they're like, well, what do you think? Like, shouldn't we, maybe we should try to list, let's say a home's, I think it's 500,000, but they want to list at 550. I'd be like, you know what? Like, maybe we should wait. Maybe if you're okay and you can, let's
Hmm.
wait. Let's see what happens
Maybe the
next
market
year.
will rise back to where you need it to be, but
Yeah,
today's
and
not the day.
I had a lot of those conversations actually last year, and it's funny because probably like especially because of the hurricanes, right? In 2024, I'm having a lot of these conversations, especially with people whose homes flooded. They've now
Hmm.
redone them. They're kind of like, I don't want to go through that again. I want to sell.
Yeah.
Um, so I had a lot of conversations with people midsummer last year, and they were like hoping to sell before peak season, hurricane season. And I was like, the money's not there. Like, you're not going to get what you were going to get pre-hurricane. Like, it's because they're thinking, oh, I can get X amount,
Yeah,
like what it
but
was
there's
worth.
yep. But
And
there's this asterisk over here that's like, oh yeah, but this
yeah,
property is proven to be hit by hurricane
yep.
damage.
Yeah, and they're not thinking about, well, this house has a floodplain now. This house like is seen as less desirable. This neighborhood is less desirable now. So, yeah, I'm having a lot of those conversations where like this month I've been having checkups and check-ins and catch-ups
Hmm.
with them on the market and where it's at and strategizing, oh, when do we maybe list this year?
Aye, so you've had to shift into a nurturing phase. Go ahead, Greg.
Question I would have then is, up in Michigan, or and again probably in Florida too, the
Hmm.
inventory has been low, and most agents have never been. Most of the agents that are in the business today were not here before 2012.
Hmm.
Did not experience the ugly market,
Hmm.
and they never carried listings. And it's like you get a listing, it sells. You get a listing, it sells. And now all of
Mhm.
a sudden, this market, are you finding, are there agents starting to carry 5, 10, 15, 20 listings at one time?
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
I have a lot of obviously I'm friends with other agents and other brokerages too, and the sentiment is like I have a lot like they have a lot of listings, but they're not moving. No
Mhm.
matter what,
Mhm.
even if we think we're pricing them well too, buyers are so picky because there's a lot more inventory down here.
Absolutely.
Like they
Yeah.
are coming, like the home I just listed last week. I had 30 people come to the open house. So I'm like, oh my God,
Wow.
great, right? But like, and most of it was positive, but they'd be like, the feedback I get, like, well, it's just a little bit small. Or like and it's a good house. I think I priced it well, but like
Mhm.
it's because they have other options.
This is a really interesting point. I want to just touch on real quick. Sorry, Greg, then you can
Yeah.
have the floor.
Well, I
So
can go ahead.
what I love about what you just said, Logan, and this is where you have to really pay attention to feedback. Where when people say, "Oh, it's great, we love it," just doesn't work for my clients. "Oh, it's so great, we love it. Needs an extra garage. We love it. It's
Yep.
just a little tight." What they're actually saying is the value wasn't there.
Yep. Yeah.
Everything they're telling you, the reasons why it didn't work for their client is that at that price, they weren't willing to sacrifice. At that price, it was missing
Hmm.
what they thought it should have. At that price, they weren't willing to redo the bathrooms. At that price, they weren't willing to do X, Y, and
Yeah.
Z. And so I think that when you hear feedback, because I oftentimes hear realtors say, but the feedback, everyone says my price is fine.
Let me jump
Hmm.
in.
Yeah.
So the next question that I would have then is thinking back to the tougher markets, there's a whole new discussion now that takes place. And I'm wondering, Logan, if you have found your way in this discussion where you talk to them about you are now going to be put up against these other homes, right? The
Hmm.
question is, do you want to be the next one sold?
Hmm.
Do you want to be the one that they use to sell the home that's better priced?
Hmm.
They don't have to, some sellers would say like, well, just tell them to make an offer.
Yeah.
Well, why would they negotiate with you?
Hmm.
They don't have to negotiate with this person over here that's already at a price where it's just like, hey, this is a great price. We're just going to do it. We don't have to fight. We don't have to argue. We
Hmm.
don't have to negotiate. And so the sellers are going, tell them to negotiate, tell them to write an offer.
Hmm.
And have you had that discussion yet?
Yes. Yeah. So what I'm doing for them, I do it visually. So when I'm going into my listing consultations, I visually show them their neighborhood, like, because there's just actually a lot of inventory in most of
Hmm.
the neighborhoods right now. And I show them, hey, these 10 homes are your competition right here. This is
Yep.
what like a buyer is looking at when they're like searching in this neighborhood. So you're up against these 10 homes. What we need to do, I would say, like a little bit cheesy. Someone told me this like early on, but I always say it's price, condition, photos. That's what's gonna, those three
I
things. Yeah.
completely agree with you.
So I say to them, your photos and videos are gonna be amazing because I hire a professional. That's on me. The condition of the home, obviously, let's hope we've resolved any things that could be a hurdle there, hopefully. But like the condition of your home's great. We're gonna prep it, we're gonna stage it, we're gonna do whatever. And then I say it comes down to price. So I was like, if it's not selling, it's gonna be your price.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I have
your
that.
listing comments aren't going to fix it. If we
Yep.
use ChatGPT to write some new comments, it's not
The
going to
open
find it.
houses, we're not doing an open house. I even say to them, the open house thing, I'm like, we only do an open house the first weekend, or if we do a price change. I'm not standing
You
at
know what
your
I
house.
used to tell people about open houses? Because like when I was in the bottom of the market, when I was in a market like worse than the one you're in now,
Hmm.
and my clients would be like, "You need to hold more open houses." I would say, "Can I just give you the honest truth about that?" I was like,
Hmm.
"I will hold an open house for you, but I need you to know what the actual end game here at the open house is.
Yeah.
Yes, I want your house sold. Yes, you
Hmm.
better believe I want your house, and you better believe I'm going to try to sell it. But I'm looking for buyers." I
Yeah.
said, "The average realtor is looking for buyers at an open
Yeah.
house. They know the chances of selling your open house are slim."
Yep.
So we're actually shopping and we're trying to introduce it. So I just want you to be honest. So I kind of say like, hey, like I can do
Yeah.
this, but that's really the game here.
I think there was a stat somewhere. I would say when someone's like really pushing open houses, I'm like, look, 3% of the time a house will sell off an open house. At the
Yeah.
end of the day, it's most of the time I'm trying to get unrepresented buyers, which is great. I
Exactly.
met some last weekend. Awesome for
Yep.
me,
Yep.
right?
And you might sell it, but there's a
Yeah.
97% chance you're not, you
Yeah.
know? So,
The other thing I do, just to pivot on the inventory side of things, this I found really helpful too when it comes to pricing, is actually pull up the Pinellas County property stats from the Pro website.
yep.
And I say, look here, like obviously I show them the inventory distance numbers. It's obviously
Yep.
jumped quite significantly. So they see
Yep.
that. But then I also show them actually there's more closed sales than there ever has been
Mm-hmm.
compared to last year. So although inventory's up, buyers are still buying, actually more than they were last year. So we need to make ourselves sparkle with
Mm-hmm.
everything possible, price, like so I show them it's not that it's a slow market. Actually, the market is great in terms of buyers closing on
That's
properties.
that's a very interesting thing too. So Greg, we used to look at this stat just to kind of comment on that, the sales, right? We've
I have
seen
a,
that
I have a, when you get done with this thought, I have a thought.
no, please jump. What I was going to say is that what we've done is we've looked at the number of sales over time. And the inventory goes like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the sales goes like this.
Mm-hmm.
And it bounces around the same amount of sales. It's just the inventory that fluctuates, and that inventory is really what drives the pricing. And the
Yep.
sales might tick up, but like, yeah, you're saying is like you can have more sales, but you can still have prices drop if inventory is skyrocketing. So it's
Yep.
just a fascinating thing to look
Okay,
at. Go
so
ahead, Greg.
Logan, you may have already gone down this road, but here's something else we found when the market was descending.
Mm-hmm.
That you can build a trend line. You can show that buyer or that seller that here's what's happening with prices right now. And they typically continue on that line until there's a bottom.
Mm-hmm.
But what we don't know is where the bottom is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, if you say, I'm going to price it just a hair above where we think it needs to be, you are just helping the more aggressive person sell right now and
Mm-hmm.
not. And then the other thing that's happening is that when it's going down, you want to get to be first in the line because the numbers are not going to get better over the next couple of months, are they?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the point is, as hard as it is right now to get in front of the line, it's painful. You really need to jump to the front of the line because you're going to be better off than those people that hold on for the next 6 months. Because
Yeah.
guess what? The trend line is still going down. And until there's any evidence that that line is flattened, it's going to continue going down.
Can I show
Mm-hmm.
you guys something real quick here? So Logan, so you're
Mm-hmm.
saying that you basically do something, you bring stats along with you to show.
Just the one pager one that Pro gives us.
Okay, so let me show you what we built. This is a sneak peek for everybody watching. This is going to get released pretty quick here, but this is the new 5-star dashboard that we're building. But I want to show you what you'll have and tell me if this is like what you would bring.
Mm-hmm.
So this right here shows you the St. Petersburg market, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can flip between like single family or like condos right up here. And you can look at, over time, like down here, I have these charts. So this gives you a snapshot of what's going on today, Logan. So this shows
Yeah.
you like what's happening in your market right now. And it shows you like, look, your active inventory is up 31% year over year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your new listings are down 26% year over year. But you're like you said, your new listing, your solds are actually up
Mm-hmm.
26%. Your pendings are up 25%.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you scroll down here, you can go to these time charts like you were describing. So this is like the
Mm-hmm.
market trends right here. So this would median sales price from 2016 onward. This is where you said a lot of your clients had purchased.
Yeah.
And so you can see, like you can prove to them this has happened to value right now. You can show them
Right.
price per square foot. You can show them inventory, see inventory jumping.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, so this is all available to you. And you can see your month supply climbing right here.
Mm-hmm.
Days on markets climbing right here. So these are all available to you. You can show them the interest rates over time, you know, because people always go, man, interest rates are terrible. And I'm like, but are they? Because
Mm-hmm.
look at where they were
That's
back when our
cool.
parents were buying.
Yeah.
So, anyways, this is a look at what you could print out, a Logan, and you can create like a summary of this right here, and you could bring it to your listing appointments if you wanted to. But it
Yeah, that's
shows you
great.
right where you guys fall on the map. You're at 4.9 months, so you're
Mm-hmm.
definitely in the balanced area here. And this is condos and townhomes. Single family is a little bit more. Single family moves a little quicker. Um,
Yeah.
but you can still show them like here's what's happened to median sales price. Like you can show them over time, like this is what's taken place. You can go back to 2011. You can show them Look at what your market's done, Logan, since 2011. Average sales price in St. Pete was
Mm,
136,000 in 2011.
yeah,
And now
it's
we're at,
doubled.
570. So anyways, this is
Great.
what you'll have access to. I just wanted to show you, like, you could
That's
use this right
great.
here. Yeah, you could use this right here for your listing appointments when you're like trying to show people like at a glance, like what's happening in the
Yeah, because
marketplace.
sometimes it's hard, like they need to see, like even if it's just two simple, like even just two of those graphs showing like inventory rising and just sometimes they need to see it. Not that they don't believe you, but
Yep,
you know.
absolutely. And I think what Logan, like from my experience, and I think that you've already discovered this, there's authority when you come into the room and you have this data. And
Mm-hmm.
like because I can tell you that most realtors are not educating their sellers.
Mm-hmm.
They're showing up going, I can list your home. Let's get photos. Here's the 17 things that I do for you. Yep, I get a
Right,
sign, I get a lockbox. Yep, we'll get photos. Yep, I'll give you a showing report each week. But like
right.
most people are not truly educating their customers.
And I think it helps, like, I do it with my buyers too. Like, whenever I have a buyer consult, like, I really come at it from an education standpoint, as without boring them, but same with my listing consults. And I think the reason why it's important to educate them is because it saves the frustration later on. Because I
Hmm.
can say up front to them, hey, we may be days on market right now is what I think 50 something days. We may be sitting at that for 50 days. So they're not coming at me after 2 weeks being like, what's going on? So I've saved myself those like frustrating conversations and they
Hmm.
already know like, oh, this is what I need to expect.
Yep.
So I find it's really helpful and it saves frustration.
Logan,
A quick
let's talk
question.
about go ahead, Greg.
Let me jump in.
Okay.
So, Logan, when you have a conversation now, I would think one of the more important pieces of this is going to be talking to a seller and saying, what's your timeline?
Mm-hmm.
And because if they say they really want to be in a new state or a new location within 90 days,
Mm-hmm.
to me, the minute they tell you what their goal is, say, then look at, I'm going to build your price
Mm-hmm.
based upon your timeline.
Yeah.
And if you're telling me 90 days, I know that I have to get you into first position to try to get your home sold within the first 30 days,
Mm-hmm.
not 4 or 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can try to get you the higher number and hope that somebody's going to fall in love with your home. But in reality, I have to price this thing to put you in first place.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
It's a
Yeah.
competition.
Yeah, also any seller that's like, I don't care if I sell now, I'm like, that's a red flag for me because I know that they're going to be a pain.
That's a
Yeah. That's
that's
the hardest thing in the world. Someone says, I don't really have to sell. I'm
Yeah.
like, hmm.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that. I had a couple like that last year and we ended up taking it off the market and they said they would relist later on. They weren't unhappy with me. They just weren't getting the price they wanted because they didn't have to sell. So I was
Hmm.
like, yeah, that's a red flag.
Yeah. So Logan, how often how do you handle price reductions? What do you do? How do you handle this?
Mm,
Like how long do you wait for a price reduction? How quickly do you identify, like you probably know going into it you have an overpriced listing, but like
mhm,
how long, like if you know you have an overpriced listing, how long do you wait? How do you have that conversation with your customer? How do you
mm.
get them ready for that?
Okay, so I'll start first off. I always, in my listing consults, I prep them for that too. So before I actually present a price adjustment, I
Hmm.
do say in our listing consult, look, like my goal is to obviously sell it at this price. However, if my timeline is generally after 2 weeks, not necessarily a price adjustment at the 2 weeks, but I say after 2 weeks, I send them like a really thorough email. And I have a
Okay.
template for it if anyone wants it. It's
Oh
great.
my word, are you willing to share it?
Yeah, I have templates for everything.
Wow, that's
So
incredible.
the template I have is an engagement and feedback email.
Okay.
So one, I want to show them that all the engagement they've had on their property. Because obviously, in my listing appointments, I really highlight the social media. I do.
Okay.
So they really like that. So I highlight how many views have we, I really break it down shares, views, comments, DMs on TikTok, Instagram. And then I go into the MLS, like the hot leads or whatever we get from the MLS. So I give them
Yep.
all that info, homes.com, Zillow. So I give them a full engagement picture of like where
Love
we're
it.
at. And then I give a little comment on this is where my insight is. I think this is a little low. There's not as many like favorites in the MLS that I'd like to see or whatever. And then I go into everything I've done thus far marketing wise because I want to show them I've exhausted all efforts.
You are leaving. You are like, hey, I've thought of it all. I love this.
Yeah. So I then go, again, this is all templated, but then I go into all my marketing efforts because I generally do the same thing on each listing.
Hmm.
And it's pretty long list. And then I'll say, then I also go into a neighborhood. So let's say in the last 2 weeks, a house has come on that's comparable, but they priced it a little lower. So I go into that too, because segue, when I do list the home, I set them up on a neighborhood search.
For their
Um,
neighborhood.
hmm So they're getting active pending sold every week sent to
That's
them.
really, really smart.
So I also have access to that. So I then kind of analyze this is what I've seen. This home actually sold for this in the past 2 weeks. So if there has been any updates, and then I say, based on all of that, if I think a price adjustment's needed, based on like activity as well in the home, private showings, open house attendees, I will then say, I think now is the best time to consider a price adjustment. This is what I suggest.
Hmm.
If we were to move forward, I'd like to make this adjustment on this date and then plan an open house for that, a price adjustment to gauge activity.
Yep.
So
That's
that's what
awesome.
I do. It's pretty thorough, but I find it's really helpful because
Uh,
you're not just emailing them being like, "Hey, no showings last 2 weeks. Let's drop it 10K." They're gonna be
yeah.
like, "What?"
No, I think that's fantastic. I think that's really, really smart because when you get into a market like you're in,
hmm
eventually your client, and this is where I've experienced in the past, eventually your client goes, "Hey Logan, tell me anything about the price, please."
Yep.
And so then they go, then I've actually had clients say to me, "Look, Logan, I'd like to see the list of what you've done." And you're like, "No problem." But back then I was like, "Oh crap, I better put this list together." So
Yeah.
you're like way ahead on that. And I think that in a market like this where you're saying, "Hey, look, I'm asking you to take a haircut."
Yep.
So, so Logan, one of the things that we used to do back in the '08 to 10 range when it was really bad, well,
hmm
I wanted to find out their motivation and
hmm
to find out just how, I mean, is this a dead end or am I
Yeah.
really getting paid here, right? Because ultimately, no agent should work in a dead end situation, right?
hmm
So what I would do is I'd say, tell you what, I'll go with your price and we'll do it for 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Now here's an amendment form that in
hmm
3 weeks from now, the price is going to drop
hmm
$15,000, to $20,000. And then there's another one that's here 3 more weeks. And so would you agree that in 3 weeks, we've had a great opportunity? We've got thousands of agents that are looking at this with buyers who
Yeah.
they all want to get paid, right? And they're all looking for homes. So if they all look and nobody jumps, what does that tell us? So then I want to find out, are they willing to sign that amendment card,
hmm
the price in 3 weeks, sitting at the table? And if they say no, then okay, what are we talking about here then? Is this a dead end?
Yeah, I've
Mhm.
actually heard of, and this is something I would have considered doing had I had a seller that's really not willing to adjust. Um, I've I wish I did it with one of my sellers last year. But sometimes they make it seem like they're open to it, right? And they're like, "Oh yeah, we can adjust later on. Let's see how it goes." But I have
Mhm.
heard like in the future, I'm definitely like I've already decided like, hey, if they want a certain price, I want them to agree 2 weeks later, 3 weeks, like you said, 3 weeks to a price adjustment. So we can
Yeah.
test your price.
Talked about
Yep.
this with one of the other agents. I don't know if it was Lindsay or Mike or Jeff, but you want to make sure that they're really in the game with you, and it's like signing with blood. They're committed, and
hmm
we have all been fooled. Any of us who've been around for any number of years, we've all worked on dead end cases, and
Like
so it's
I've already
Yep.
decided like
Sorry.
it's a challenge.
yeah. And I was gonna say something with the price change thing. I forgot. Never
You know
mind.
what? Thank you for that because I'm more and more forgetting stuff like this.
My
conversation.
brain just went blank, so.
So, well, Logan, I think it's interesting to hear because most of us are still in a market where, or mo most of the five-star companies still in a market where things are flying pretty quickly still, even though it feels a little slow.
Hmm.
But it's I think that the rest of us need to know that like the markets can't stay superheated forever, and the markets are going to shift. And I think what I'm hoping people walk away from today is you gave us some very good nuggets, in my opinion. Um, I absolutely love how you send them these weekly updates or these updates, these regular updates on their activity. That's a
Hmm.
fantastic tip. If anyone's paying attention, that is such a good idea. We called it
Paul,
back when I was being trained.
Paul, why is that a good idea? And I'm going to tell you, I believe the reason it's a good idea is that Logan is playing offense and
Yes.
not defense. And
He's
if you
outthinking, he's
defense,
outthinking the
you
question.
lose. You lose.
So we
Hmm.
we called it Touch Base Tuesdays way back in the day. And we didn't have as nice of technology as we have now with like nice reporting online and things like this on the MLSs. But so I had to produce these stats by hand. But we would do Touch Base Tuesday and I would try to show like Zillow views, Zillow open, Zillow saves, things like this, right?
Yeah.
Showing like, hey, look, like, we've had a lot of saves and no calls. Like, what does that mean? What do we make
Hmm.
of that? And I love that you are, as Greg said, playing offense where you're going, I know where we're going to have to go, and I'm going to have to have you make a tough ask. But I'm not going to make a tough ask without showing you my work.
Yeah.
And I think that's really the really cool and really like respectful way to do this with a customer when you're asking them to take a $20,000 price reduction or $50,000 price reduction. You're saying, but
Hmm.
listen, look at what I've done. I'm proving to you I've worked my tail off for you. And I
Yep.
think that's really wise.
Yeah, and like I said, it saves, like I've never had an angry seller. Like I'll
Yep.
just say that I've never had anyone that's been mad at me, and it's because I'm very communicative. I give them
Yep.
the information, but they also know that up front too, that I'm going to do
Yep.
that. So
That's
it's
a
really helped.
I want to highlight that too, Logan, and I think it's just worth repeating. You don't have angry sellers, and I think you nailed it with it's because you're communicative. When
Hmm.
people don't know what's coming next, they
Hmm.
don't know what you're doing. They're feeling in the dark. They're feeling like they're just sort of like left behind, which unfortunately, when you start to carry more listings in a market like you're in,
Yeah.
it's easy to forget about your customers. When you have 10 listings or 15 listings and nothing's really happening, and you're kind of afraid, most realtors are kind of afraid to say, no news.
But they
Which,
want to hear that
yeah,
too.
no news updates are better than no update at
Yeah,
all.
they want you to like tell because and I think it's great having when you actually go through selling your own house, right? I did it last year and like every showing is like you hope it's an offer, right? Like
Mhm.
every little like bit of activity on your house is so important to you. So having gone through it myself, I know exactly like if we have a showing, I let them know right away, hey, I've asked for feedback. I'll let you know as soon as we get it and like just know that I'll be following up with them until we get that
Yep.
feedback. So I think just
Wow.
always letting them know that you're on it,
Yep.
they feel like you're on their team and they're
Mhm.
happy to pay you your commission for that,
I mean,
in the
that's a
end.
great point that everything that you just said about folk comes really down to they want you to be on their team.
Hmm.
And in a sense, at any moment that you're not on their team, so the way you communicate is always about you're on their side of the equation. And
Hmm.
many agents get in trouble when they start talking about this because the client starts feeling like they've joined the other side.
Yeah.
You can cross over and they're gonna smack you and make life difficult. So
Hmm.
Yeah,
very, very important comment.
I agree. I think the offense you're playing is really, really smart. Um, I think it's genius. I think that's like the one thing that having gone through the marketplace, I wish I would have been better at. And
Hmm.
so hats off to you for being so far ahead of it. But Greg,
So
any final thoughts here at
I was
35
just
minutes
gonna ask Logan, it's like, Logan, is there anything you prepared to say that we didn't ask?
in?
I did have some notes, but I don't think so. I think Yeah, obviously I was gonna say the only other thing is like it definitely depends on the house too. Like in especially St. Pete, I'm sure in Michigan there's certain micro markets that like
Absolutely.
this house is so cool, it's gonna sell because of just where it is and what it looks
Yeah.
like. So I think it always depends on the house. And like I also realized too, like the house that I just keep going back to that I listed last week, like I thought I priced it well because there was no comparable inventory in the area that was like in good condition as the one I listed. But sometimes you don't know until you list too. And like you said, like based on that feedback, like listening to the oh well it's just not big enough, or like listening to that and then reacting, like so you're always on not on the defense, right? So you're like, okay, well I'm going to react to this next week. I'm going to message my sellers if we don't get it under contract and be like, hey, this is everything. Like they're
Mhm.
saying, like, there's missing value here. This is what I think we should do. So I think it always depends on the house because sometimes you just don't know. You can think you price something
Yeah.
perfectly and you
And the
just maybe
market
you don't.
surprises you. The public doesn't react the same way.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And that's okay.
yeah, and I think what I've heard from you too, and I just want to reiterate because I think it's so key. It sounds to me like what I'm hearing you say, Logan, is that like you're not afraid to tell them the data and the truth because and okay, this is what I want to say. You're not giving them emotional feedback.
Hmm.
It sounds like you're giving them grounded feedback.
Yeah,
This is what took place. This is what sold. Here's what the public's doing. And like doctors have to give bad news or give uncomfortable news.
yeah.
And I think it's important what I'm hearing from you saying is like, you're not here to sugarcoat anything, but you're
Hmm.
not rude. You're not going to be blunt and mean, but you're going
Yeah.
to give them the truth.
Yeah, and I think that's what I tell them too. In the beginning, I say I'm going to give you the good and the bad feedback, whether you want to hear it or not. I'm not going to like give you all the nice feedback, which they appreciate. And sometimes what I'll do too, rather than me like writing a message, like I'll just screenshot what the agent said so they know
Yeah.
it's coming. And sometimes it's brutal, but I'll just be like,
Yep. I like
"This is
that
what they
idea.
said."
Okay.
Like,
One,
you know.
we got one question that came in, so let's do this and then we'll call it a wrap. So Tia Williams Pung, who works here in Michigan, she has two sellers that bought homes last summer and they need to sell already. So like now, they got to sell this thing now. She's like, I'm very concerned. It sounds like they're probably upside down on the value on the house. Like they're gonna be writing a check. That she's kind
Yeah.
of wondering like, what would be your advice going in, knowing that they're hoping for the best, but you're gonna have to deliver some bad news. How would you go about doing that?
And they have to sell.
There's no other option.
Yeah, I mean, you'll just yeah, you just have to let them know like you if you really need to sell, you're going to be in negative equity. I mean, sometimes I think on the last week's call you said like if you're helping them buy down the line or something, like maybe cutting your commission a little bit. I mean, I personally wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I've done it once before because I knew I was helping them buy, but like I would just again, I'm not emotional about it. I would just be like,
Yeah.
this is the situation. What do you need me to do from here? Like I'm doing again everything I can already.
Yep.
I'm doing the
So
brochures,
you're
postcards, social media. Like this is and I give them the numbers too. So I'm always running net sheets. So they
okay.
know the dollar.
So you
Well,
would create a net sheet with a range. You'd
Hmm.
show them the reality of like this is probably the check you're gonna have to bring to closing
Hmm. Yeah.
if we get in this range. And you would tell them like right up front, like, hey, this is what we're looking at. Here's the range. Here's the money you're coming up with. I'm gonna nail your marketing.
Yeah.
Paul, let me just add one thing and then I've got to check out.
Yeah.
Um, what I would advise Tia in this situation is that I would have the hard conversation. I'd put the amendment in front of them and I'd say, look, here's the plan.
Hmm.
We will go to this price for 2 weeks. We then need to go to this price for the next 2 weeks. And all I need to know is that here's a net sheet. You know what you owe on this property. If you got one loan or two loans or whatever you've got, um, you need to know that if you have the money to write the check to
Hmm.
pull away from this house, that's something that you have to decide. I can't answer that one for you,
Mhm.
but
Right.
if you
Right.
Yeah.
don't have the money, well, then there's another conversation we need to talk about.
So she also she follows up and says, what about the buyer agency commission discussion? Because they're gonna go, well, I have no money to pay them. I don't want to pay them anything. So
Mm,
my reaction is like, you can offer $0 on a buyer agency commission for sure. You could just offer zero, but the reality is those offers are going to be coming over asking for it. So you're
Yeah.
going to be just stuck. It's going to be a negotiation no matter what. Like the you know what I'm saying? The numbers are going to shake out one way or another.
Yeah.
I have another hot take.
Okay, let's hear it.
Maybe it's not the listing for you.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't waste your time anymore. Like I would do if it's really you're in a hard place, I would do what Greg says and hey, it's gonna sell at some price. Like so
There's a
these are
price.
this is the price we're gonna sell it at. This is our plan, coming in with a plan, and then say, look, like this is if it's not gonna sell and you don't want to go any lower, then
Right.
maybe we release ourselves from the contract. I don't know.
Because the temptation for those sellers is going to be, and Greg, I know you got to go, but you're
Gotta
going to be
go.
okay.
Logan, thank you so much. It's been a
Thank you.
pleasure. Much appreciated. See you
Yeah.
guys.
Thank
All
you,
right,
Greg.
we'll finish this with this final thought here. Those sellers are going to be tempted to go shop around for another realtor because they're
Mm-hmm.
going to be looking for a realtor that's going to give them the price they want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's where you just have to know that there's gonna be a realtor out there that's gonna give them the number they want to hear.
Yeah, there will be. There always will be.
Yep.
So,
And the temptation is to go there and I don't know. I mean, if I'm in Tia's shoes, maybe Tia, you take it, but you just tell them, hey, look, like we're gonna need to like have I think we should have an aggressive strategy. I don't want to give you the exact I want to give the honest truth here. And then,
and
you
then
know,
always build in a cancellation fee to your listing
yeah,
agreements.
there you go. So
That's what I
what
do.
you build so the cancellation fee, tell me about that real quick.
I always add a cancellation fee of $1,000 and a plus marketing
Okay.
expenses. So sometimes, like I had one, we took it off the market, and I know he's going to relist in the spring with me, so I didn't charge him the cancellation fee, but I have charged it before, and
Yeah.
it just makes like you in having that conversation up front. Hey, if you decide you want to go in a different direction with another agent, if you don't feel happy with me, or if it's not the time, like I did I spend around $1,000 to list your property. I'm losing money. And I say this to him in the listing appointment. I lose money to list your house.
This
So
is really interesting. This is really
yeah.
interesting, Logan. I'm so fascinated by it because I think most people would be afraid to say that because they're afraid they're going to lose the listing if they say that.
No, because like this is the thing when it comes money is such a taboo conversation, and I think if you come at it very open, so if
Hmm.
you're open about the numbers of what you want to list it for, if you're open about your value, I don't say that right up front, I say that
Yeah,
after I go through
yeah,
everything. Like I mentioned it to them, hey, this is like something I include in there. Obviously my listing agreements are normally
yeah.
6 months, so
Yep.
normally we don't have to
I
come
mean,
to that.
I like it. I think it lets them know that you're serious. I think it lets them know that you're committed, that
Yeah.
you're looking for a mutual commitment.
Yeah, and I don't want to work with someone that doesn't want to work with me either.
Yeah,
So like if it's gonna be like this constant tension or pressure, like I don't want it.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow, I think there's so many things people can learn from this chat today. Wow. I know that people
Thanks
are
for
going to
having
want your
me.
template. I know that people are going to want your template, Logan.
I
So
have some good
maybe you can take your special
templates.
sauce off of it and just share the generic one or whatever. But
No, yeah, I have a template. I have all my templates saved to Trello. I don't know if anyone uses Trello, but I really recommend it for organizing your listings. I have checklists and everything. It's really helpful like organizing everything. Like I have a pre like a marketing checklist before we go live, and then I have an
nice.
email template. So that email template's really helpful because then I can plug in all the numbers and
You just grab
info.
the template, fill it out, copy, paste.
Yep.
Nice.
Obviously change some things are like
Yes.
unique in
Yeah.
there, right? But
Yep.
like yeah, I have
Yep.
the template's really helpful.
Well, I know people are going to be hungry for that. So
Just email me or message me. I can
okay.
email
So
it
you
to
guys
them.
know you guys got a friend requester and then send
You
her a
have to follow
message
me on
and
Instagram.
follow. Okay, do the three things: friend request, follow, and like and subscribe, and then she'll give you the
Yep.
template.
Yep.
Well,
Exactly.
Logan, thank you so much for joining us. This was awesome. I know that people are going to get tons of value out of this. You were our final pricing conversation
Yay.
in the month of January, and I think it was the perfect way to go out because you gave us so much good stuff today, and I'm just so thankful that you shared and you were willing to share. So
Yeah,
thank
I
you
hope it
so
was
much.
helpful.
And for those who are watching, you know how to reach Logan. She's in this Facebook group here, so you can
Mhm.
find her on Facebook and or find her on Instagram too, and feel free to send her a message. So, Logan, thank you. Very
Thank you.
appreciated. Stay
Yeah,
warm in Florida.
we will.
All
Yep.
right.
Thanks.
See ya. Yep.
Bye.
Bye-bye.